Hi, I'm comedian impressionist Marcus, and welcome back to First Impressions, where each time I'm going to quickly break down a different impression and teach you how to try doing voices for yourself. And on this episode, we're focusing on one of my favorite impressions to do, the one and only
Gilbert Gottfried.
You are a genius.
Now, unlike Walken and De Niro, Gilbert isn't as common as an impression, right? There's not as many impressionists that I know that do Gilbert Gottfried. And while there are some out there that do them, there's not a lot of people who do it right. Now, here's a little story. This is 100% true. It never happened, and I wish it did every single day since it didn't. But years and years ago, I was on a show on NBC called Last Comic Standing, and I ended up making it to the finals. And on our finale, the producers had approached me like a couple weeks before and asked me if I wanted to do a bit called Guess the Gilbert, where me and Gilbert Gottfried were going to be behind a screen, kind of like dating game style, and the judges from Last Comic Standing were going to ask us questions, and we were
Both gonna answer in his voice and see who could tell who was who.
And I was so excited to do this. I had not met Gilbert at that point. I've met him since at the comedy club here in town, and he's the coolest dude ever. But he was, from what I understand, down to come and do this. But, and this is 100% true, our finale, we had 2 hours, but we were leading into the Olympics, and the finale of the semifinals of like America's Got Talent or something, and they wanted an extra half an hour. So we lost a half an hour from our broadcast. And one of the bits that got cut was this one because they felt like it probably wouldn't have been fair to have me do a bit with somebody that didn't feature the other contestants. So ultimately I agreed with them. I thought it probably wouldn't have been fair. It wasn't a show about me, but man, it would have been fun to do that with Gilbert. And who knows, maybe someday him and I can get together
And do some dueling Gilberts. But until then,
I'm just going to teach you how to do this amazing voice so that you can bug your wife or girlfriend or coworkers or boyfriends or husbands or whoever it is that we want to try to bother with this voice. Because let's face it, Gilbert Gottfried isn't the most romantic voice, right?
your friends are absolutely gorgeous and should come and hang out with me and my friend.
Like there are voices out there that you can use to, impress somebody, nice, Chris Hemsworth perhaps, something like that, something very attractive and handsome, just even in its own voice. But Gilbert is not.
Excuse me, would you mind if I kissed you from head to toe? I'm gonna draw you a bubble bath and then massage your feet for an hour.
No woman's gonna say yes to that. It's not gonna happen. That's just not something I can do with that impression. It's not going to work. It's more of a voice just to get the point across, right? That's what Gilbert's there for. To yell, to make a scene, to be the loudmouth,
To be the guy that does the thing, and then that's the thing. He just yells it, he does his thing, and then you go on with the rest of the movie. That's how it works.
and he's great at it. But let's break down what a Gilbert Gottfried impression really is. Okay? First of all,
When you talk about the voice, you can start by doing it small. If you want, you can do something here, because he's not always yelling. So when they do this voice,
a lot of this is nose.
up here, when you're doing, as you can hear, if I plug my nose, it doesn't sound right.
Because a lot of it has to do with your nose. So, just like we talked about in the last video, figure out where you talk from, and then figure out where they talk from.
Gilbert,
Is all up here behind.
it's up in your face, right? There's a little bit of throat, but mostly it's up here in your face.
Above the roof of your mouth and behind your nose. You want to use your nose.
Because there's little things. This up here, where it goes up.
That's up here in your nasal cavity. So make sure that you're using that gruff part of your voice, the yelling part. You're using your nose to kind of get those higher tones. And you're using the back of your throat to get that gruff sound, right? Think of it like that. Think of it almost like a car siren.
Eh, eh, eh. where you would start to do the impression from. Start with something simple, a noise, and then you can get bigger.
And that's really how you do Gilbert Gottfried. So now that we know how to do them, let's take a look at some clips. Now, while Gilbert is more known for his polarizing stand-up comedy, his incredibly distinct voice and his over-the-top persona was featured in many big movies throughout the 80s and the 90s, including Beverly Hills Cop 2, Look Who's Talking To, and Problem Child 2. He also created an instantly memorable film character by lending his voice to the role that we're going to mimic in today's clips. The iconic loudmouth parrot Iago from the 1992 Disney animated classic Aladdin. Love this movie, love this character. Let's take a listen.
I can't believe it. I just don't believe it. We're never gonna get a hold of that stupid lamp. Just forget it. Look at this. Look at this. I'm so ticked off that I'm molting.
This was one of the lines, because I've been able to do Gilbert Gottfried for years. This was a line that I used to do for my family and my cousins. And I always did it bigger. The funny thing was, this is one of those Mandela effect lines for me, that I always imagine him saying it,
Look at me. I'm so ticked off, I'm molting.
and had him yell it. But in this, you can hear him clearly kind of being a little more mellow.
Look at this. We're never going to find this stupid lamp. Look at me. I'm so ticked off, I'm molting.
So it's that same thing. You're keeping it there.
Sometimes he gets bigger.
And when he gets bigger, you just kind of slow that down.
See, sometimes he talks very fast, but when he gets to the thing, then you yell.
Now, of course, when you're doing this impression, just like with all the other things we talked about with the voice and where it comes from, one of the most important things to do, just like with Walken or De Niro, is the mannerisms. And with Gilbert, you can't do a Gilbert Gottfried with your eyes open. You can't.
You can't do it. I mean, I guess you can, but it's not right. You have to close your eyes. You have to squinch your face because it's almost like your face is going to where the voice comes from. He yells from right where all of his face is squinched together.
And that's what you have to remember, is that it's kind of a combination of all of these things. His voice, his face, his mannerisms, that's what makes a great impression. Let's listen to one more clip from Aladdin.
You got a problem, Pinky? Boy, Jafar's gonna be happy to see you.
Excellent work, Iago.
Ah, go on.
No, really, on a scale of 1 to 10, you are an 11.
Oh, Jafar, you're too kind. I'm embarrassed. I'm blushing.
Come on. It's so good. I mean, honestly, that is a absolute classic movie starring the one and only Robin Williams. Oh my God, as the genie, he's so good. But in this movie, Iago the parrot, now I'm not saying he does, but he's a very close second for stealing this movie. His lines, his character lends such a comedic punch. And in this scene, he's
back to the yelling. Oh, Jafar's gonna be so happy.
So as you're seeing, you're going up, you're going down, you're holding out,
So happy.
and he's coming up, he's coming down. Think about the directionality of how he talks.
He goes up here, then he's here, then he'll come back down. He'll go up there, then he'll go over here. Maybe he'll do this over there, then he'll go down there.
So think about the directionality of how you're doing the voice as well. Now, go have fun with Gilbert Gottfried. Go annoy your parents or your spouse, your brothers or sisters. Stop by a Starbucks. Order a pizza as Gilbert Gottfried tonight. See if you can fool somebody. That's what I want to hear from you guys. So let me know how Gilbert Gottfried works for you, and make sure that you keep sticking around here to First Impressions, because we are just getting started. In fact, make sure you tune into our next episode, because while this voice might not impress anyone, I promise you that next week we're going to get a little more handsome. Stick around, savvy? Yeah, at the gym one time, and I was panicked, and I had to get like literally a tweezer and tweeze it out.